Ishay Ribo is an Israeli singer-songwriter, and he's kind of captured the what do you call it? Like the white dove, the
Zeitgeist,
no, what's the
Purple Cow,
what's the like Jesus's cup? In the Da Vinci Code, they were looking for it.
the Jesus's cup,
Yeah.
the Christ Becher.
I
don't know.
The Christ Becher.
The Christ Becher. It's called the Christ Becher.
He captured like the unattainable thing in Israel, which is appealing to both
Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
Yeah.
He captured the Holy Grail of appealing both to secular Israelis and religious Israelis with his music. And he's like one of the biggest stars in Israel. And he played last year in Queens at like that. And
Arthur Ashe Stadium. I was there.
I think it was Arthur Ashe or Forest Hills.
Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Arthur Ashe, which is big. And then this week he played at MSG. He sold out MSG.
He has done something no Jewish Israeli artist has done in
Yeah.
terms of that bridging the gap of all denominations of Jews that his music appeals to.
Mhm.
Because in the world of Jewish music, if we just talk about that, there's like religious music that
Right.
people will listen to for religious artists who play for religious audiences. And then there's sort of like secular Hebrew music.
Yeah.
But no one has done what he's done. So he played at.
Right, and so yeah, his music is good and cool and hip, and so he
And
played,
meaningful and soulful and religious.
Right, so he played at Madison Square Garden, and it was one of those times where like if God for me and Sarah, if like God wants you to be somewhere, you'll be there. Like
Yeah.
I tried to get in tickets, they were like 300, like crazy expensive tickets. And like, so I didn't buy anything. And then like we had a friend who got like luxury box seats,
Yeah.
like one of those like skybox things for Fish. So Sarah's like, oh, let's ask them if they could maybe put in a request for Ishay Ribo.
Yeah.
And we got them, and suddenly we were there, like in like the best seats in the whole
Wow.
arena. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was really quite an experience. Like it really felt like I've had like fantasies. Like when I would go see Fish, like, oh, imagine if like a Hasidic Rebbe or someone could like fill MSG, like a stupid fantasy. And like I was there, and like Ishay Ribo was singing like, you know, the tune of the Baal Shem Tov. Like,
Was he?
yeah, I don't know if it was Baal Shem Tov or the or
Deep
Rav
cuts,
Levi's-
like real, authentic religious music
right.
that works but that's modern.
Yeah, no, and this wasn't even modern. He was just singing the tune like that Hasidim sing.
But
like, it was
through him,
crazy.
channeled
Yeah.
through him,
Yeah.
it is modern.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
And the stadium, and they was singing it together, and it was really,
Oh,
really
I know what you're talking about. That somebody sent a clip of that.
moving and crazy. And then also it was such a weird thing because on the way there we were listening to Alex Edelman on 1840, David Bashevkin's, and he said something really interesting where he thinks that his show, Jews like his show because it makes them feel seen, which is funny because like Broadway is like almost stereotypically Jewish venue, right? Like, you know, all the composers and actors and comedians on Broadway, you feel like, oh, Jew can feel seen on Broadway, but like, but there is this like self-consciousness and like still anxiety about like being a Jew out in the world,
Right.
And like being in Madison Square Garden, I felt like there was this almost like fear running through it of like, it's like, is this safe? Like, can we like be doing this? Like us in Madison Square
It
Garden?
felt naughty.
It felt like
Edgy?
there was a discomfort there, and like
You did feel that when you were there?
uncertainty, yeah, and I think his job as a musician was to get these people who like are not used to going to concerts, like
this.
especially at MSG, and like you know, like no one was standing up until 75% through the show, like the last third of the show, and I think his job was to be like, it's okay to be here, it's okay to have fun together, like we all kind of know each other, we can have fun. You know, we don't just have to be at like a Siyum Hashas. We can like kind of dance a little and sing and like
that's cool.
And it was the beginning was awkward, I thought, and then like he brought people on stage, and like he really got Madison Square Garden full of like from Long Island Jews to like party, and it was pretty awesome to see.
That is cool.
And cool and like empowering and beautiful and nice.
I will say, I bet, as amazing as he is as an artist, there's also somebody on his team who is just as good at whatever this is to make something like this happen. Like,
What do you mean?
connecting the dots with the right people in event planning and booking and marketing to fill the garden. Like,
Oh yeah.
how they did this, I'm also just as impressed by.
Yeah.
Like, there's big artists with big audiences to galvanize this demographic across the spectrum of people to all fill up the garden. Somebody else, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's just the music in itself has the appeal alone, and it deserves it. It deserves that audience. But not everyone you can do that. It's just amazing to bring. I'm the most impressed by people who can get people into a seat. It's easy enough to like a post on Facebook, share something, talk about an artist, write an article. To get somebody to leave their house, come into a thing, that's the biggest commitment you can get is a hard ticket sale of somebody to come and watch you and give up their night and go. That's commitment. Yeah. And he's able to do that. And the music deserves it because it's so amazing.
Yeah. But it could have been a bomb.
No, I just mean like we take it for granted. Oh yeah, so he's playing at the Garden now. How cool! But like whatever the behind the scenes are to make that happen, to build up to that. Who's making the call?
Positioning in a right way where the religious Jews felt comfortable and the secular Israelis in New York felt comfortable, and everyone felt comfortable going.
I don't know what goes into that, but the other thing I was going to say about it was, so somebody on the team I'm sure is equally impressive in making that stuff happen. But I was going to say something about. Oh, I think that on the Alex Edelman point, I think there was a long chunk of our like childhood growing up. We grew up in like sort of the end of an era where Hollywood and show business was really all about trying to fit a certain mold. Mm-hmm. If you're going to have every generation of show business has its certain thing you have to do. Mm-hmm. At one point it was like, hey, you got to have a variety show. You got to do a little music. You got to sing. You got to dance. You got to do a little comedy. And that's how that's show business, baby. Then it's like more, divided up. There's dancers, there's singers, there's actors, there's this. There's not like the Renaissance artist. Mm-hmm. But if you just look at it overall, for a long time, there existed this idea that you want to be a pop star, you got to look like this, you got to sound like this, you got to dress like this, you got to present like this. And I feel like the post-modern like sort of world we're in now of show business, or the current, whatever the word is to describe it, like the current state of show business is about standing out and having a unique story and brand that you bring to the table. Like that is favored more. And the more deep you go with who you are and share your story authentically, as opposed to trying to bury it to fit a cookie cutter thing, is what people are responding to. And maybe they always have.
Yeah, but I think they always have. Now it's conventional wisdom to be different. The conventional wisdom was be like everyone else, but it was always the people who stood out who became the stars, like Barbara Streisand with her nose. Everyone was saying you got to get a nose job, but it was the nose that made her. Like the superstars were always the people who stood out. Now that's the advice you get.
Yeah, I'm not saying people liked genericism back in the day more than they do now. Right. I think they always liked the unique. But in order to find those stars, the business, I'm saying like the business of entertainment, the show business part was like, let's reduce our risk. Yeah. We're going to invest in people, so they better have as many things that we think would appeal or fit a certain mold that's the safest, best bet. Meaning they're making a bet. Yeah. And now you can build up your audiences on your own, so there is no one thing. Right. Like, think about music. Yeah. What style of music is dominant right now?
Hip-hop.
But not even. I'm just saying.
What is it? You're saying.
I'm saying there is back in our day. Korn, Limp Bizkit. Right. It was rock. So rock is big now. Hey, if you're doing something outside of rock, I'm sorry. Like that you don't hear that anymore.
So this was the other thought I had when I was in there in the arena. I was thinking to myself like, this may be completely a product of algorithmic media, like because Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify can serve a very, very small niche exactly what it wants. Ishay Ribo was able to find the
Ishay Ribo.
Ishay Ribo was able to find the 50,000 people who like his stuff. He may never find an audience of 500,000 people, but there's 40,000 people who will pay for a ticket, and because Spotify can find them for him, they all come out to the Garden. So essentially, it might not have been able to happen 10 years ago.
You went to a real life For You page for Ishay Ribo.
I did. I saw all my favorite influencers. I saw all my favorite Jewish musicians.
The For You page that applies to everybody in that room.
Yeah, exactly.
Ishay was a part of that. But I think you're right. It's a much more high-resolution, precise thing where Ishay can find every one of his fans.
It's a niche that.
Where back in the day, it's not like it's the show business's fault.
Right.
You just couldn't do that. Right. You have to go by ratings, who's going to have mass appeal, who has the ingredients.
Right.
How is that random person with a niche, like Israeli singer-songwriter thing, going to find people back in the day? Right. They're not going to get people to invest in them.
Right.
So you have to do like... Yeah, maybe it is a product of... I'm curious how he did it, because there was a time when Ishay Ribo was just doing open mics at Mike's Place, and no one knew who he was.
I heard his album in like 2016, I remember.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to it and being like, nah. and then he blew up, and I went back and listened to it. I was like, oh, this is great. And to me, I was like,
you're a tool.
I only like it. Yeah, because I'm a tool. But yeah, he was... if someone's listening and they know someone on his team... let us know. We'd love to talk to them.
We need a
That'd
translator.
be amazing.
We need a translator.
He goes, I am learned to English.
Is that what
he
he said?
doesn't know
No,
a
not a
word
word.
of English.
I know friends of his. I'm friends
Yeah.
with friends of his. And yeah.
It's
they
wild
talk
to
about
me.
that.
It's wild to me how you could.
He's
go
Moroccan,
through
I think.
the
I think he's
entire-
French, Algerian, or Moroccan.
I think
or
he's
something.
French. Yeah. I
Speaks
think
French.
someone said if you go you can get through yeshiva without learning English
Interesting.
in Israel, but you can't get through normal school like a regular
Oh,
school
interesting.
without learning English. Okay, last thing.
Yeah.
Because we got.
So that's Ishay Ribo.
Yeah.
Congrats to you, my brother, as a fellow musician. I got to
Yes.
tell you, you deserve it all. Music's amazing, and keep doing what you're doing. It's a beautiful thing. It's just a
man.
purely beautiful thing.
Man, thank you and thank you.
Yes.
I'm throwing my hat in the ring in the mislabeled world. So there's this podcast.